I don't consider myself a good project panner or anything. I would more consider myself a bad project panner. Like, I'm not very good at this. So that's pretty citable, definitive proof that I am a masochist. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another day in the 12 collabs of Choimas. Woo! Yep. In the month of December, I'm uploading 12 collab videos and we're almost to the end of it, y'all. Kind of sad, but also kind of a relief because it was a lot and I only committed to 12 scheduled videos over like a daily upload schedule like a lot of other creators have been doing. I could not. Today I have for you my project Pan Those Eyeshadows 2020, and it is the first project Pan Those Eyeshadows I've ever done, and okay, I'll get into my thoughts later. Before that, I wanted to mention that today's video is a collab with my good friend Steph from It's Just Steph. She participates in a myriad of different project pans, roulette project pan, partners in cream, there was a year-long project pan. She's also done Pan Those Eyeshadows. Sometimes she throws in seasonal pan projects as well. So if you're interested in this kind of content, I know you will love Steph. She is a mom, she's a genuine lover of makeup, but she is also not afraid to tell you when she doesn't like something. So if any of that sounds good, I really recommend you check out her video and her channel. And if you're coming from Steph, let me know in the comments because I would love to say hello. I only thought it was fitting to collab with Steph on this Project Pan Those Eyeshadows finale because she is 100% the reason why I even did this project this year, because I remember in her Pan Those Eyeshadows 2019 project, she said it was so much more fun than she thought, and when I watched that I was like, are you sure? That sounds kind of miserable to commit to pan 6 shadows through the year or more. Yeah, it was kind of miserable. In the first half of the year, it was all like, you know, rainbows and sunshine and dandelions. And then I just got tired of these towards the end of the year. So it was really hard for me to use them. But let me show you the progress that I made that I'm very happy with. Now, I started with 6 shadows. I didn't hit pan on all 6 of them, but it almost killed me. But I hit pan on 4. I consider this a complete win. A lot of creators who do this kind of project do like a random number generator kind of thing to pick out their shadows. Now I wanted to be easy and reasonable with myself, so I picked out, like hand-picked my shadows for the project, and I have 2 shadows from each of my 3 Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. And I picked from these because I knew I really liked these palettes, just baseline and cat hair, and these have a reputation for the formula maybe going a bit off faster than other powder eyeshadow formulas do, and I just wanted to be sure to get a lot of use out of them this year. That I did. From each of these I picked 1 matte and 1 shimmer shadow, and let me go through them now. From my Soft Glam palette, my 2 shades are, obviously one is Glistening, and the other, which you are not even able to tell, is Mulberry. So let me talk about Glistening first. This is the first pan that I hit in the entire year. Side note, I didn't mention, I have not been updating very regularly in this project just because there was not like new updates really to see. So I only did the intro in January, mid-year check-in in July, and now here we are at the finale. So for Glistening, I used this 48 times and I hit pan around use 40 for this. And Glistening is kind of a satin formula. It's not hyper reflective, so it's perfect for an inner corner highlight or brightening up the inner half of the lid. And the base tone is actually quite nude. It's not super bright or highlighty, so it works as an all over the lid shade as well. So that's why I hit pan on it so quickly. I really like this shade. The pan has expanded a bit since I first hit pan, obviously. That was the most useless sentence ever. So let me go ahead and talk about my second shade, which is Mulberry, this deep, rich burgundy that really comes off very brown, not as red as it looks like in the pan. This shade I decided to give up on in my mid-year update in July, and that's because I realized how difficult it is to hit pan in matte eyeshadows, and I felt foolish. I felt real foolish because I've seen so many different panners hit pan on Anastasia shadows like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. I couldn't think of another word besides nothing, but I was like, why? Why is it so difficult for me to hit pan on this stuff? And I realized Firstly, this is a very deep shade. It's not a transition tone for me, so I'm only using a little bit at a time. But secondly, because just to start out with, I have monolids. I have maybe like half of the lid space, as many other makeup creators do on this platform. And you know, I just need less eyeshadow. It's a fact of my life. So I've come to learn that and I've come to accept that. So I gave up on this halfway through the year. I did use this 30 times in the year and it has like a tiny dip. Mostly you can see just the little speckles, the little bumpy lumpies that come up with some use of very powdery matte eyeshadows. So Mulberry, I gave up on. One of the two shadows I didn't hit pan on this year. Let's move on to my second palette, and that is my Sultry Palette. This palette I have fallen back in love with this year, especially in the later half of the year. Maybe it's because I was getting bored of very warm neutrals like in the Soft Glam palette, but the Sultry palette is actually what I am wearing for my eye look today. I just kind of wanted to show y'all that you don't have to do a super like cool, wintry, icy kind of look using this palette. You can come up with something very springtime and flowery and kind of really girly like this too. So the two shades that were included in my project are Rose Quartz and Bloom, this bright coral shade. In my eye look, I did set down Birch as a base and transition, and then I went in with a Bloom on my outer corner and then carried that into my crease, Rose Quartz on the lid, and Dystopian just to outline and smoke out the outer corner, and Noir, I've been mispronouncing that for years, Noir, as like my eyeliner. So let's talk about the use. Rose Quartz was the second pan I hit this year, and I did hit this before my July update, and it took 27 uses for me to hit pan in this. The reason it took so few uses is because I went ham with this shade. A lot of times before I showered, I would just dig into this and put it everywhere, all over my upper lid, all along my lower lid. After I hit pan on this shade at the second update, I just kind of set it aside because I wanted to work on the other shadows. And so in total, I've used it 30 times this year. Let's talk about Bloom. This is also one that I very quickly gave up on early in the year when I realized how much use I would have to use one matte over and over and over and over again. So I knew I couldn't divide my attention. But Bloom is again what I'm wearing to add that warmth and liveliness to my eye look today. It's really, I think, a nice addition to this palette. I remember when it first came out, November 2018. Yeah, it was a long time ago. This palette got a lot of criticism for this random coral shade, like that was thrown in there as the pop of color, which we were seeing a lot at the end of 2018. And you know, 2 years later, I like it still. I only use this 12 times. But I did give up on it early so I could work on my other shadows. Let me introduce those to you in my last palette, which is my Chucky palette. My last two shades within this palette, they weren't fun. So, I mean, I really like these shades. I really liked them at the beginning of the year, which is why I included them, but now I'm tired of them. And so those two shades are Sponsored, which is a duochrome chocolate brown with a green reflect or a teal reflect, and Ginger, which is a very, very warm toned shade that's a little bit deeper than a transition shade for me. And wow, these are the two new ones since my last update. First, let's talk about Sponsored. This shade I thought was so fun and so interesting at the beginning of the year, but using it 68 times, which is how many it took me to hit pan, it wasn't so fun and interesting for me anymore. I grew tired of it. This shadow took a lot more uses for me to hit pan on compared to the other two shimmers that were in the Soft Glam and Sultry palettes. And that's because just across the board for this palette, the shades are so much richer and more pigmented. And these shadows are pigmented to begin with, but Jackie Aina palettes is just like next level. So Ginger, let's talk about my second shade, which is the last matte, the only matte I hit pan on. And that's because I redirected my efforts halfway through the year. And this shadow took 150 uses. No project panner or no eyeshadow project panner should have to endure one eyeshadow for that long. And I know there are many variations of this kind of project where you can do like after 50 uses, 60 uses, 20 uses, whatever you want to say. But I really wanted to see that pan, and I was so determined to see it but it was miserable. It was not fun. Again, the reason why I think it took me so long is because ginger is a deeper shade for me. So I would try to use it as like all over the lid transition kind of shade, but it was a little bit dark. It is so powerful that I didn't have to use as much of this as, say, like Birch in my Sultry Palette, which is more of a true transition tone for me. Oh my gosh, this shade. I'm getting like PTSD thinking about it. So those are my 6 shades. I also wanted to mention credit here. It has a big dip in it too. And that is because I used it to kind of outline the outer corner of my eye a lot. And I just wanted to point out the use in that because that's pretty good too. It's pretty good. Yeah. I did include this Jackie Aina palette in my top palettes of 2020 video that I uploaded just a couple days ago. And I had said in that video that I was almost not gonna include it because I grew a little bit tired of using this palette in 2020. But that is because of this project, and that is because I was really focusing on like these shades here. And I did say in that video that I am kind of excited to play with this palette for 2021, but you know, hanging out on this half of the palette, not just ignore this part. Man, would I do a Project Pan those eyeshadows again in 2021? I am. You're gonna see that video sometime this month. So that's pretty citable, definitive proof that I am a masochist. But I gotta say, just at the end of this project, my goal was to get use out of these palettes, and that I did. I also wanted to be able to see pan because I had not before this year hit pan on any of my eyeshadows, and I just wanted my shadows to show some use. And it really is a sort of learning experience going through a project like this that I kind of want to try it again and see what I can get out of the second run of this. So anyway, stay tuned for that video. I'm not going to talk about that so much in this one. This is the finale, wrapping up of using these. I don't consider myself a good project panner or anything. I would more consider myself a bad project panner. Like, I'm not very good at this, but sometimes that can be refreshing to see. So I hope that is the case for you. Be sure to check out Steph's channel for her Pan Those Eyeshadows 2020 project finale. And she, I'm telling you, is way better than I am at this. So I can't wait to see all of the progress that she's made. She's even rolled through shadows this year. So she had pan on a lot more than 4 shadows like I did this year. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. If you are not already subscribed and part of my internet family, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go, and also give this video a thumbs up. Reward my efforts, and also it helps me know if y'all will be interested in a Pan Those Eyeshadows 2021 project. Remember that y'all are my treasure. Find the beauty in every day, but most importantly, be kind to yourselves. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!